Captain Lisa Morgan looked out at the stars from the bridge of the EDF handshake. Earth seemed so far away now. Her small diplomatic vessel had been traveling for 3 weeks to reach the edge of the solar system. This was humanity's big moment. First contact with an alien civilization. "Are you nervous?" asked Communications Officer Peter Ward. He was young, barely 25, and this was his first deep space mission. Lisa nodded. Anyone would be. We're about to meet aliens. The crew of 12 had been chosen carefully for this mission. They represented the best of humanity. Scientists, diplomats, and military personnel trained to make a good first impression. Their ship was small and simple by design. Earth's leaders had decided that approaching with a modest vessel would show peaceful intentions. "Contact in 30 minutes, announced Navigation Officer Grace Williams. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panel. The Solarian ship is exactly where they said they would be. The crew had been briefed extensively about the Solarian Empire. Earth's long-range scanners had picked up their communication signals 3 years ago. After months of exchanging messages, the Solarians had suggested this meeting. Lisa studied the information on her screen. The alien ship was massive, at least 20 times larger than the handshake. Sensor readings showed powerful energy signatures that could only be weapons. Why bring a warship to a diplomatic meeting? She wondered. Aloud, Security Chief Frank Hayes frowned. Maybe that's just how they travel. Or maybe they're being cautious. Lisa nodded. Let's be cautious too. Standard protocols, everyone. Remember your training. As the handshake approached the meeting point, the crew got their first visual of the Solarian vessel. The Imperial Fist was unlike any ship humans had designed. It had a central core with spiraling structures extending outward like massive tentacles. The hull was dark gray with pulsing blue lights along its surface. "It's beautiful," whispered Science Officer Kelly Baker. "And terrifying," added Frank. Lisa took a deep breath. "Open communication channels, Peter. Let's say hello." Peter's fingers moved across his console. "Channel open, Captain." Lisa straightened her uniform. "This is Captain Lisa Morgan of the Earth Defense Force ship Handshake. We come in peace as representatives of humanity. We are honored to meet the Solarian Empire and hope this will be the beginning of friendship between our peoples." The screen remained blank for several seconds. Then it flickered to life, showing a humanoid figure with pale blue skin and large, pupilless eyes. The alien had no hair, and its face featured ridges where human eyebrows would be. "I am Admiral Grix of the Imperial Fist," the alien said in a voice that sounded artificial, clearly translated by their technology. "The Solarian Empire acknowledges Earth's greeting." Lisa smiled. "We have brought information about our world and our species. We are eager to learn about yours as well." Admiral Grix did not return the smile. "You will transfer your data immediately. We will then decide if further communication is warranted." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. This wasn't going as planned. "Of course," Lisa replied carefully. "But we had hoped for an exchange. Perhaps we could—" "You are not in a position to negotiate terms," interrupted Grix. "Transfer your data or we will consider this meeting concluded." Lisa felt a chill. Something was wrong. "We're happy to share information, Admiral. But the spirit of this meeting was meant to be an equal exchange between—" "Equal?" The alien's voice rose. "You believe yourselves our equals? Interesting." Frank moved closer to Lisa and whispered, "They're scanning us. Heavy sensor sweeps." Lisa nodded slightly. "Admiral, we respect your civilization's greater advancement, but Earth hopes to establish relations based on mutual—" "Your weapons systems are powering up," shouted Frank suddenly. "That's impossible," said Lisa. "We didn't— Not us," Frank cut in. "Them. The Imperial Fist is charging weapons." Admiral Grix's expression hadn't changed. "Your standard greeting included the phrase, 'We come in peace.' This implies you are capable of coming with war. The Solarian Empire does not tolerate potential threats." Lisa felt her heart race. "There's a misunderstanding. That phrase is meant to reassure you of our peaceful intentions, not to threaten." "Deception noted," said Grix coldly. We have analyzed your vessel. Your technology is primitive. You will surrender immediately for processing. Processing? Lisa asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Your species will be evaluated for useful traits and assigned appropriate status within the Empire, explained Grix as if discussing the weather. Resistance is unnecessary. Lisa looked at her crew. They were all watching her, waiting for orders. This was supposed to be a diplomatic mission. They weren't prepared for combat against such a massive ship. We need time to consider your offer, Lisa said, trying to buy time. Our leaders. A blast of energy shot past the handshake, missing by mere meters. That was a warning, said Grix. The next will not miss. You have 30 seconds to power down your systems. Lisa hit the ship-wide communication button. All crew, battle stations, evasive maneuvers. Grace immediately changed course, sending the handshake into a tight spin, away from the Imperial fist. They're firing again, shouted Frank. The ship rocked violently as an energy beam grazed their hull. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. Hull breach on Deck 3, reported Engineer Joe Collins over the comm. Emergency seals activated. Can we jump to faster than light? Lisa asked Grace. Not this close to their ship, Grace replied, her hands flying over the controls. We need at least 30 seconds to clear their gravity field. Another blast hit them directly. The lights flickered, and several consoles exploded in sparks. 2 more hits like that and we're done, Frank warned. Lisa made a quick decision. Release all probes, full spread. The research probes? Peter asked in confusion. Just do it, Lisa ordered. The handshake released its 12 scientific probes. Simultaneously, the small devices scattered in all directions. Maximum power to engines, Lisa commanded. Get us out of here. As the handshake lurched forward, the Imperial fist began targeting the probes, apparently confused by the multiple small targets suddenly appearing on their sensors. It's working, Grace exclaimed. They're dividing their fire. The handshake shuddered and groaned as its engines pushed beyond their designed limits. Slowly they pulled away from the massive alien warship. We're clearing their gravity field, Grace announced. FTL in 10 seconds. They're coming after us, warned Frank. Lisa gripped her chair. Everyone hold on. The stars blurred as the handshake jumped to faster-than-light speed, barely escaping the Imperial fist's next volley of fire. In the sudden quiet that followed, Lisa looked around at her battered bridge. 2 crew members were being treated for injuries. Smoke drifted from damaged equipment. Damage report, she requested. We lost Deck 3 entirely, replied Joe. Life support is at 60%. FTL drive is damaged. We can make it home, but it'll take twice as long. Lisa nodded grimly. Set course for Earth. We need to warn them. As the handshake limped back toward Earth, Lisa knew one thing with absolute certainty. Humanity was now at war with a galactic empire they knew almost nothing about, and based on what she had seen, it was a war they were woefully unprepared to fight. What the Solarians didn't understand, though, was humanity's unique history. Humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years. They had developed warfare in ways the unified Solarian Empire never needed to. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy was the one you underestimated. The news of the failed first contact spread quickly through Earth's military and government. 6 weeks after the handshake limped back to Earth orbit, Chief Engineer Alan Winters stood in the massive underground hangar of Luna Base, staring up at his life's work. Project Thunderchild had been his secret passion for 5 years. Originally designed as a deep space exploration vessel, the ship incorporated technologies that most engineers had considered theoretical at best. Alan had pushed the boundaries of what was possible, creating a vessel unlike anything in the Earth Defense Force fleet. So this is the famous Thunderchild, said a voice behind him. Alan turned to see a woman in a military uniform approaching. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun and she carried a tablet computer. Olivia Bennett, she said, extending her hand. Military Strategy Division. Alan shook her hand. They told me someone from military would be coming. I didn't expect the head of strategy herself. Olivia looked up at the ship. These aren't ordinary times, Mr. Winters. The Solarian Empire has declared war on humanity, and from what we can tell, they have thousands of ships like the one that attacked Captain Morgan. The Thunderchild didn't look impressive at first glance. It was smaller than standard EDF warships, with a sleek curved hull that reminded Olivia of ancient sailing vessels. But she knew that appearances could be deceiving. "Tell me what makes this ship special," she said. Alan gestured toward the hull. "Everything about her is adaptive. The outer shell is made of millions of microscopic panels that can change configuration in seconds. She can transform her shape based on battle conditions." He led Olivia around the ship. "The engines use quantum entanglement principles. In simple terms, the ship can appear to be in multiple places at once, making it nearly impossible to track." "And weapons?" Olivia asked. Alan smiled. "That's where things get interesting. Instead of conventional energy weapons, Thunderchild uses gravity manipulation. She can create localized fields that distort space-time itself." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "Can it actually do that, or is this theoretical?" "We've tested each system individually," Alan admitted, "but never the full integration. We were still 6 months from complete trials when the Solarian situation happened." Olivia walked slowly around the ship, taking in every detail. 6 months isn't going to work. Our intelligence suggests the Solarians are already assembling an invasion fleet. We have weeks, maybe a month at most. Alan shook his head. "That's impossible. We can't rush this. The gravitational systems alone could tear the ship apart if they're not properly calibrated." "Then you better start calibrating," Olivia said, firmly, "because this ship might be humanity's only hope." Over the next days, Luna Base became a hive of activity. Engineers and scientists worked around the clock to prepare Thunderchild for battle. Alan barely slept, spending most of his time fine-tuning the ship's complex systems. Captain Lisa Morgan arrived a week later. After her experience with the Solarians, she had been the obvious choice to command humanity's most advanced warship. "It's smaller than I expected," Lisa said, as Alan showed her around the bridge. "Size isn't everything," Alan replied. "Especially, not in this case." The bridge was unlike anything Lisa had seen before. Instead of the standard array of control stations, there was a central platform surrounded by holographic displays. The ship's systems were designed to be operated by a smaller crew than usual. "How many people to run her?" Lisa asked. "Core crew of 12, Alan explained. "The ship's AI handles most routine functions." Lisa nodded. "Same number as the handshake. Feels like fate." While the preparations continued on Luna Base, the Solarian Empire was making plans of its own. Admiral Grick stood before the Imperial War Council, describing his encounter with the humans. "They are primitive," he explained to the assembled commanders. "Their ship was fragile, and their weapons systems barely functional. They escaped through luck alone." Grand Admiral Zex, Supreme Commander of the Solarian Fleet, studied the holograms of Earth and its solar system. "Yet they managed to evade you, Grix." Grix's blue skin darkened slightly, the Solarian equivalent of a blush. "A momentary tactical advantage. They will not be so fortunate again." One officer raised a hand. "Are they truly worth our attention? Their system has limited resources and they're barely capable of interstellar travel." Zex zoomed in on Earth and the hologram. "It is not about resources. It is about security. The humans have shown aggression." "They did not show aggression," interrupted a quiet voice from the corner of the chamber. All eyes turned to Intelligence Officer Kale, who stood and approached the central table. Unlike most Solarians, Kale had spent years studying other species. "My analysis of their communication suggests a misunderstanding," Kale continued. "The phrase, 'we come in peace,' is not a threat, but a reassurance. Their historical records show they use this greeting specifically to indicate non-hostile intent." Admiral Grick snorted. "Your sympathy for lesser species blinds you, Kale. The humans were clearly preparing for conflict. Their ship was not armed for serious combat," Kale pointed out. "And our scans showed minimal defenses around their home planet." "Enough," Grand Admiral Zex said firmly. "The decision has been made. The humans demonstrated their unpredictability by evading one of our warships. Unpredictable species are dangerous. We will proceed with the planned pacification." Back on Luna Base, final preparations for Thunderchild were underway. Lisa had selected her crew, a mix of veterans and specialists. They had been training in simulators, learning to operate the advanced systems. Olivia Bennett joined Lisa in the observation room overlooking the hangar. The Solarians fight like an empire that's never faced a serious challenge, Olivia explained, showing Lisa battle recordings recovered from the handshake sensors. Their formations are rigid. Their tactics are by the book. Lisa studied the images. They rely on overwhelming force and superior technology. Exactly. Olivia nodded. But humans have a long history of fighting against superior forces. We've had to be creative. We've had to use guerrilla tactics, deception, misdirection. You want us to fight like insurgents against an empire, Lisa said, understanding dawning. I want you to fight like humans, Olivia corrected. The Solarians expect us to either surrender or to fight like they do. They won't expect what you're going to do. The final day before launch, Alan led Lisa through the engine room, explaining the last details of the ship's operation. The quantum entanglement drive allows for unpredictable movement patterns, he said, pointing to the glowing core of the engine. But it's the adaptive hull that's the real game changer. In combat, Thunderchild can split into 3 separate vessels, each capable of independent action. Lisa's eyes widened. 3 ships from one? Alan nodded. 3 smaller ships, each with different capabilities. The Solarians won't know which to target. As they walked back to the bridge, Lisa asked the question that had been bothering her. Why name it Thunderchild? Alan smiled. It's from an old story, a small, unlikely vessel that stood against an overwhelming alien force when all seemed lost. Lisa looked at him. How did that story end? The Thunderchild was destroyed, Alan admitted. But it bought time for others to prepare. It showed that humanity wouldn't go quietly. Lisa nodded slowly. Well, we'll have to write a different ending to our story. The next morning, Thunderchild launched from Luna Base. As the ship cleared Earth orbit, Lisa gathered her crew on the bridge. The Solarians are coming, she told them. They think they know what to expect. They think we'll be easy to defeat. She smiled. Let's show them how wrong they are. The Solarian invasion fleet gathered at the edge of human space. 300 warships formed a perfect geometric pattern, their hulls gleaming in the light of distant stars. At the center of the formation, the Imperial command ship loomed larger than all others. Its massive form stretched nearly 2 kilometers from end to end, bristling with weapons. On the bridge of the command ship, Grand Admiral Zex watched the holographic display of the human solar system. His large pupilless eyes reflected the blue light of the projector. Begin the advance, he ordered. Standard conquest formation. First wave will secure the outer planets. Second wave will establish blockade positions, and the main force will proceed to the human homeworld. The fleet began to move with perfect precision. Each ship knew its place, each commander understood their role. The Solarians had conquered 17 other species using these exact tactics. They saw no reason this time would be different. Intelligence. Officer Kale stood quietly to one side, watching the proceedings. He had studied everything available about humans and felt a growing unease. Admiral, he said carefully, the human defenses appear minimal. Too minimal. Zex didn't look away from the display. Exactly as expected. They are primitive. That's my concern, Kale continued. Our scans show almost no defensive positions. In the outer system, no significant military presence. It's as if what, Kale? Zex finally turned to look at him. As if they want us to advance quickly. As if they're drawing us in. Zex made a dismissive gesture with his 4-fingered hand. Your imagination exceeds your reason. The humans barely escaped a single ship. What could they possibly do against 300? Meanwhile, Captain Lisa Morgan and her crew watched the Solarian fleet from the bridge of the Thunderchild. They had positioned themselves behind a small moon, hidden from the enemy's sensors. They're exactly where we expected, said Navigation Officer Grace Williams. Moving in standard formation, just like the intelligence report said they would. Lisa studied the tactical display. The Solarian fleet was impressively large, their ships arranged in concentric rings around their command vessel. It was a formation designed to bring maximum firepower to bear while protecting their central command. It's also their weakness, Lisa said. They're packed so tightly together that they limit their own maneuverability. Security Chief Frank Hayes nodded in agreement. Their ships are built for direct engagement. Big guns, strong shields, but they're not designed for quick changes in direction. Lisa turned to her crew. Remember the plan. We're not trying to win a direct battle. That would be impossible. We just need to create enough chaos to make them reconsider this invasion. Yar, 12 crew members of the Thunderchild looked back at her with determined faces. They were humanity's last best hope against an overwhelming force. Activate adaptive hull, Lisa ordered. Prepare for separation sequence. Alan Winters, now serving as the ship's engineer, worked at his console. Adaptive hull active. Separation. Systems ready. Quantum entanglement drive? Lisa asked. Spooled and ready, replied Grace. Coordinates for all jump points are locked in. Lisa took a deep breath. Begin approach. Stealth mode. The Thunderchild slipped out from behind the moon, its hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The ship moved silently toward the massive Solarian fleet. They would only get one chance at surprise. On the Imperial command ship, a junior sensor officer frowned at his display. Sir, I'm detecting an anomaly at coordinates 227-189-054. The senior officer glanced at the screen. Probably space debris. The humans have a lot of junk in their system. It's moving too regularly to be debris, insisted the junior officer. The senior officer was about to respond when alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. Energy spike, he shouted. Unknown vessel approaching at high speed. Grand Admiral. Zex turned sharply. A single vessel. Show me. The main display shifted to show a small ship approaching the fleet. Compared to the Solarian warships, it seemed tiny and insignificant. That's their attack? Zex laughed. One small ship? Intelligence. Officer Kale stepped closer to the display, studying the approaching vessel. That design doesn't match any known human ship. Admiral Grix, who had joined the command ship for the invasion, sneered. Perhaps they built a new one. It won't help them. Target that ship, ordered Zex. All forward batteries. As the forward section of the Solarian fleet oriented their weapons toward the approaching Thunderchild, Lisa Morgan gave the order they had been waiting for. Initiate separation sequence now. The Thunderchild's hull began to shift and change. Seams appeared along its surface, and what had appeared to be a single ship suddenly split into 3 distinct vessels. Each new ship immediately changed course, heading in different directions. On the Solarian command ship, the sensor officer shouted in confusion. Sir, the human vessel has divided. What do you mean divided? Demanded Zex. It's 3 ships now, the officer explained, his voice rising in pitch. 3 separate signatures moving in different vectors. Kale's eyes widened. Fascinating. Their hull technology must be far more advanced than we thought. Zex slammed his fist on the command console. Divide targeting, don't let them get close. But the 3 sections of Thunderchild were already executing the next phase of their plan. One section, commanded by Lisa herself, activated its quantum entanglement drive. The ship seemed to blur, appearing to be in multiple locations simultaneously. Solarian targeting systems couldn't lock onto it. The second section, under Frank's command, headed straight for the tightly packed formation of the fleet's right flank. The third, with Grace at the helm, mirrored this approach on the left flank. Gravitational weapons online, reported Alan from Lisa's section. Ready on your command. Target the space between their ships, Lisa ordered. Maximum disruption. The Thunderchild's main weapon activated, creating a controlled gravitational distortion in the space between several Solarian warships. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The distortion pulled the massive ships toward each other, disrupting their perfect formation. 2 vessels collided, their hulls crumpling from the impact. Meanwhile, Frank's section was weaving between the larger Solarian ships, causing them to fire at it and hit their own allies in the process. Grace's section was creating similar chaos on the opposite flank. Inside the Imperial command ship, Zex watched in growing horror as his perfect formation dissolved into confusion. Ships were colliding, friendly fire was causing significant damage, and the three human vessels seemed impossible to hit. "They're weapons," Kale said quietly. "They're manipulating gravity itself." A massive explosion lit up the void as one of the Solarian ship's power cores overloaded. The blast damaged three nearby vessels. "Pull back," Zex finally ordered. "Regroup at coordinates 330, 115, 290. All ships, disengage immediately." As the Solarian fleet began its retreat, the three sections of Thunderchild regrouped and rejoined into a single vessel. On the bridge, the human crew could hardly believe what they were seeing. "They're actually retreating," Grace said in amazement. Lisa nodded, her face serious. "For now, we hurt them, but we didn't stop them. They'll be back, and next time they'll be ready for our tricks." Frank looked at the tactical display where nearly 70 Solarian ships were showing damage signatures. Several had been completely destroyed. "How many of their ships did we take out?" asked Lisa. 28 destroyed, Frank reported. "At least 40 with significant damage." Lisa leaned back in her command chair. "Not bad for a first encounter, but this war is just beginning." As the Thunderchild turned back toward Earth, the news of the battle was already spreading throughout the Solarian Empire. For the first time in centuries, an Imperial fleet had been forced to retreat. The impossible had happened, and a single human ship had changed the course of the war before it truly began. News of the Thunderchild's victory spread quickly through Earth's communication networks. People celebrated in streets around the world. For the first time since learning about the Solarian Empire, humans felt hope. But in the high-security meeting, rooms of Earth Defense Headquarters, the mood was more cautious. "It won't be that easy next time," Lisa Morgan told the assembled military and government leaders. "We surprised them. That advantage is gone now." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth had won a battle, but the war was far from over. Olivia Bennett stood up and walked to the display showing the Solarian retreat. "Captain Morgan is right. The Solarians will adapt their tactics, but so will we." She turned to face the room. "What we need now is information. We need to understand our enemy better than they understand us." After the meeting, Lisa found Olivia in the hallway. "You mentioned information. What exactly did you have in mind?" Olivia smiled. "Follow me." Yubai Subar led Lisa to a secure section of the headquarters where a small team of specialists worked at computer stations. Large screens covered the walls, showing streams of data and alien text. "This is Intelligence Team Echo," Olivia explained, led by Natalie Rivers, our top data specialist. A woman with short red hair turned from her workstation and approached them. "Captain Morgan," she said, extending her hand. "It's an honor to meet the hero of the first battle." Lisa shook her hand. "I'm no hero. My crew and the Thunderchild deserve the credit." Natalie nodded. "And Engineer Winters. His design was brilliant." She gestured to the screens around them. "But now we need more than brilliant engineering. We need to get inside the Solarians' heads." "How?" Lisa asked. "We barely know anything about them." "Actually, we know more than you might think," Natalie replied. She led them to a central display. "During your first encounter with the Imperial Fist, your communications officer had the foresight to record everything. Not just the verbal exchange, but all the data traffic." Lisa remembered Peter Ward, her young communications officer, working frantically at his station during their escape. "He said he was trying to download their language database to improve our translation." "He got much more than that," Natalie said with a grin. "He accidentally accessed a portion of their network. We've been analyzing it ever since." She touched the screen, bringing up a complex diagram. "The Solarian Empire is structured like a pyramid. Everything flows up and down in clear lines. Orders come from the top, reports go back up." Olivia joined them at the display. "It's their greatest strength and their greatest weakness. They're incredibly efficient when things go according to plan. But they fall apart when surprised, Lisa finished, understanding dawning. Exactly, Natalie confirmed. And here's the best part. We've managed to hack further into their communication network. Lisa's eyes widened. You can access their communications? Limited access, Natalie clarified. We can't read everything, but we can insert information. Olivia's smile grew wider. We can feed them false intelligence. Meanwhile, aboard the Solarian command ship, Grand Admiral Zex faced the Imperial Council via holographic communication. The defeat had shocked the Empire's leadership. Explain how a single human vessel managed to force the retreat of 300. Imperial Warship, demanded the Solarian Emperor, his image flickering slightly in the holographic projection. Zex struggled to maintain his composure. The humans employed technology we had not anticipated. Their ship used gravitational weapons and could separate into multiple vessels. You said they were primitive, the Emperor reminded him coldly. Intelligence was incomplete, Zex admitted. We are reassessing all available data. Intelligence Officer Kale stepped forward. If I may, Your Eminence, I believe the humans deliberately concealed their true capabilities. The initial diplomatic vessel was a deception. The Emperor's large eyes narrowed. So they planned this conflict? No, Kale said quickly. I believe they genuinely sought peaceful contact, but they were prepared for the possibility of conflict. Their history shows a pattern of maintaining hidden military advantages. The Emperor considered this. What do you suggest, Intelligence Officer? We need to understand them better, Kale replied. Study their tactics, their thought patterns. Humans think differently than we do. They're unpredictable because they don't follow our logical structures. Illogical beings are dangerous, agreed the Emperor. Grand Admiral Zex, you will delay the next attack until Intelligence Officer Kale provides a more complete assessment of the human threat. Back on Earth, preparations continued. The Thunderchild underwent repairs and upgrades based on what they had learned during the battle. Engineer Alan Winters worked with his team to improve the ship's systems. The gravitational weapons performed better than expected, he told Lisa during an inspection. But the power drain was significant. We're installing additional energy cells to compensate. Lisa nodded, running her hand along a newly installed panel. What about the hull separation? Any issues? Minor stress fractures at the connection points, Alan admitted. We're reinforcing them now. Next time, the rejoining should be smoother. In another part of the base, Earth's leadership was meeting with an unexpected visitor. Samuel Cole, a diplomat who had been training for first contact before the Solarian attack, had proposed a bold plan. A demonstration? Asked the Defense Secretary, looking skeptical. Samuel nodded. Yes. We invite the Solarians to witness a demonstration of human military capability in a neutral star system under strict safety protocols. Why would they agree to that, someone asked. Because they're curious, Samuel explained. Based on Officer Rivers' intelligence, the Solarians are trying to understand us. They want to know how one ship defeated their fleet. And why would we show them our capabilities? The Defense Secretary pressed. Samuel smiled. Because what we show them won't be our true capabilities. It will be what we want them to think our capabilities are. Olivia Bennett, who had been listening quietly, leaned forward. A deception within a deception. I like it. Later that day, a message was transmitted toward Solarian space. It contained a formal invitation to observe a demonstration of human military technology as a prelude to potential peace negotiations. On the Solarian command ship, Intelligence Officer Kale brought the message to Grand Admiral Zex. The humans have proposed a demonstration. Zex read the message with suspicion. A trap, obviously. Perhaps, Kale acknowledged, but it's also an opportunity to gather intelligence on their technology. You want us to accept? Zex asked incredulously. I want us to appear to accept, Kale clarified. We send an observer fleet, keep our main battle groups at a safe distance, and learn everything we can. Zex considered the proposal. The Emperor wants better intelligence before we attack again. This could provide that. Exactly, Kale agreed. And if it is a trap, Our observer fleet will be prepared. Zex nodded slowly. Very well. Prepare a response. We will accept their invitation. As the message of acceptance reached Earth, Lisa Morgan was called to a meeting with Olivia Bennett and the senior leadership. The Solarians have agreed to the demonstration, Olivia announced. Now we need to give them something they'll never forget. Lisa raised an eyebrow. What exactly did you have in mind? Olivia smiled. Something that will make them question everything they think they know about humans. The neutral star system was a red dwarf with no habitable planets, just a scatter of rocky asteroids. It was here, in this empty corner of space, that humanity would make its stand. Not with violence, but with the power of perception. The Thunderchild arrived first. Captain Lisa Morgan ordered a complete systems check as they waited for the Solarian observers to arrive. All systems green, reported engineer Alan Winters. The modifications are holding stable. Lisa nodded. Over the past 2 weeks, the Thunderchild had been transformed yet again. What the Solarians would see today was not what they had faced in battle. Incoming ships detected, announced Grace from the navigation station. Solarian signatures. Looks like they brought quite an audience. The view screen showed 20 Solarian vessels entering the system. They maintained a cautious distance, weapon systems clearly active despite the agreement. They're scanning us, Frank noted from security. Multiple sensor sweeps. Lisa smiled. Let them look. That's why we're here. In the lead Solarian vessel, Intelligence Officer Kale watched the human ship with intense curiosity. Beside him stood Grand Admiral Zex and several other high-ranking officers. It appears smaller than before, Kale observed, studying the sensor readings. A different ship? Suggested one of the officers. Unlikely, Kale replied. The design signature matches what we encountered, but they've clearly modified it. Admiral, Grick snorted dismissively. A primitive attempt to intimidate us with their technology. A communication alert sounded, and the view screen activated to show Captain Lisa Morgan on the bridge of the Thunderchild. Greetings, representatives of the Solarian Empire, she said formally. Thank you for accepting our invitation. As agreed, we will demonstrate some aspects of human defensive capabilities. We hope this will help you better understand our species and lead to peaceful relations. Zex stepped forward. We are prepared to observe your demonstration, Captain. Lisa nodded. We will begin in 5 minutes. Please maintain your current distance for safety. As the communication ended, Zex turned to his officers. Maintain maximum alert. This could still be a trap. Aboard the Thunderchild, Lisa gathered her crew for final instructions. Remember the plan. This isn't about showing our true capabilities. It's about making them believe what we want them to believe. Alan patted the console affectionately. The old girl's ready to put on a show they won't forget. Lisa took her seat in the command chair. Begin the demonstration sequence. The Thunderchild's engines glowed brighter as the ship moved into position. To the watching Solarians, nothing seemed unusual at first. Then the ship began to change. The hull shifted and flowed like liquid metal, reconfiguring itself into a new shape. What had appeared to be weapons ports vanished, while new structures emerged along the hull. Remarkable adaptive technology, Kale murmured, watching the transformation. Just cosmetic changes, Grick said dismissively. But then the Thunderchild did something unexpected. It seemed to flicker, appearing momentarily in multiple locations simultaneously. What's happening? Demanded Zex. Is this some kind of visual deception? No, Admiral, replied the sensor officer, his voice shaking slightly. The quantum readings suggest the ship is actually existing in multiple states simultaneously. It's like nothing we've ever seen. Kale leaned closer to the display. They're manipulating quantum fields on a macroscopic scale. The theoretical possibilities are concerning. On the Thunderchild, Alan monitored the systems carefully. Quantum drive is performing perfectly. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. Now for the main event, Lisa said. Activate the gravitational lens. The space around the Thunderchild began to distort visibly. Light bent around the ship, creating a series of mirror images. To the observing Solarians, it now appeared that there were 5 identical ships where there had been only one. "This is impossible," whispered Admiral Grix. Kale shook his head. "Not impossible, just beyond our current understanding." The demonstration continued as the Thunderchild activated its weapon systems, but instead of the gravitational distortions they had used in battle, the ship now projected what appeared to be a controlled singularity, a miniature black hole that existed briefly before collapsing. In reality, it was an elaborate illusion, created through a combination of gravitational lensing and holographic projections. But to the Solarians it appeared that the humans had somehow mastered control over the fundamental forces of the universe. "They can create black holes at will?" Zex asked, his voice barely audible. "If they can do this," an officer said, "they could collapse our ships from within, tear apart our planets." Kale remained silent, his analytical mind racing through the implications. What he was seeing defied Solarian physics. Either the humans were creating an elaborate deception, or they possessed technology far beyond what the Empire had developed, over thousands of years of advancement. After 20 minutes, the demonstration concluded. The Thunderchild returned to its original configuration, the strange phenomena fading away. Lisa opened a channel to the Solarian vessels. "This concludes our demonstration. What you have seen represents only a fraction of human defensive capabilities. We hope this helps you understand why further conflict would be unfortunate for both our peoples." Aboard the Solarian command ship, a heated discussion was underway. Admiral Grix insisted the demonstration was a trick, a mere illusion to frighten them. But others, including Grand Admiral Zex, were not so certain. "Even if some aspects were exaggerated," Zex said, "what we witnessed exceeds our current understanding of physics. We cannot dismiss this." Kale nodded in agreement. "The humans are unlike any species we have encountered. They think differently. They approach problems differently. And clearly their technology has developed along paths we never explored." "So, what do you suggest?" asked Zex. "Peace," Kale said simply. "At least until we better understand what we're facing." 2 days later, an official communication arrived from the Solarian Empire. It proposed a ceasefire and the beginning of formal diplomatic relations between their civilizations. When Lisa brought the news to Earth Defense Headquarters, cheers erupted through the control room. Olivia Bennett smiled broadly as she read the message. "It worked," she said. "They believed it." "For now," Lisa cautioned. "This isn't over. They'll keep studying us, trying to determine what was real and what was illusion." Samuel Cole, who had helped craft the diplomatic aspects of the plan, nodded in agreement. "This buys us time, maybe years of peace while they try to unravel our mysteries. And we'll use that time wisely," Olivia added. "The real Thunderchild technology gives us a foundation to build on. In 5 years we might actually be able to do some of what we pretended to do today." Later, as Lisa walked through the halls of the headquarters, she noticed people stopping to stare at her. Word of the successful mission had spread quickly. She was becoming a symbol of humanity's unlikely triumph. A young officer approached her hesitantly. "Captain Morgan, is it true what they're saying? That one human ship scared off the entire Solarian Empire?" Lisa smiled slightly. "Not exactly. We showed them something they didn't understand and it made them reconsider their plans." "But how?" the officer pressed. "How did we beat an empire that's conquered 17 other species?" Lisa thought for a moment before answering. "We did what humans have always done when faced with a superior force. We adapted. We got creative. We changed the rules of the game." As she continued down the hallway, Lisa reflected on the strange journey that had brought her here. From the disastrous first contact aboard the Handshake to the elaborate deception of the demonstration, humanity had earned its place among the stars not through overwhelming force but through ingenuity and the willingness to think differently. In his private chambers aboard the Solarian command ship, intelligence officer, Kale reviewed the recordings of the human demonstration for the 100th time. Something about it still puzzled him, still defied his understanding. Is that really a human warship, he murmured to himself, watching the Thunder Child's impossible transformations? Or is it something more? Something we've never imagined? The question would keep the Solarian Empire wondering and peaceful for many years to come.